Hi, everybody. So I'm Anna from Move Well with Anna, and this is the first of our anti-March Madness series of speaking with some amazing experts who are going to share their wisdom and their tips with us. And today we're introducing Lily from Mindful Sparks, who I've had the massive pleasure of working with. But I'll leave the introduction up to you, Lily. Tell us all about who you are and what you do.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So I'm Lily. I am a teacher and I'm also the founder of Mindful Sparks. And at Mindful Sparks, we support teachers. We work very closely with teachers and support their well-being. And we do that by focusing on three key things: helping teachers strengthen their self-awareness, practice compassion, and build resilience, all through formal and informal mindfulness practices. So what we're doing is helping teachers navigate quite a stressful job, quite a challenging job, um, and being able to integrate these small moments of time out, these moments of peace, these moments of calm and clarity to just help them navigate their day with a little bit more ease, a little bit more grace. And and we also run PD, we run workshops, we do community events, all focusing on allowing ourselves to be not the best version of ourselves. I went to a conference and somebody questioned that and I really liked it. And they said to be your favorite version of yourself at this moment in time. So that's what we aspire to help people do.
I absolutely love that. I mean, my family, me, my husband, and my two teens, we've come and been on one of your mindfulness and meditation workshops, which was utter bliss. And we have actually integrated that into our family wellness, mental health wellness practice. But do you think that what you're teaching, what you're doing with teachers and students, does that transcend into other professions? And if you're looking at the demographic of people that I work with, women and mostly mums, um, do all those tips transcend into working with mums as well?
100%. Um, the reason we focus on teachers and within the education space is that's my background, that's what I'm passionate about, that's what I know, right? And that's where I want to bring about change. But everything we're doing is for humans, right? If you are a human and you have a day where you have a bit of a wobble or you have a bit of a challenge, all of these strategies that we teach can be integrated. So we're also developing at the moment, we have these amazing ideas for small, mini, very specific workshops for teachers. We've been asking around, researching a lot, like what are the real pain points in the day? If we're thinking about younger learners, it's things like getting shoes on, tidying up, you know, um, eating independently, all these things that are life skills that need to be built, but can be very, very challenging. So we're building those. So these real specific moments. And then we're like, but these work for parents and carers and, other adults in the student's life, the child's life as well. Just the language might change a bit. So everything we're doing for teachers, we're going to start mirroring for everybody else as well.
Oh God, I love that. I mean, the turmoil and the trauma of trying to get my kids to get their shoes on before we left the house used to drive me nuts. Oh my God, where were you when I needed you 15 years ago? Okay. One question I wanted to ask you is, um, obviously you came into this practice because you really believe in it and you found benefit in it. What is your favorite practice to ground yourself, to bring yourself back down, to self-regulate? What would be your quick, easy go-to if you needed to just have that feeling of,
Um, that, do you know what, that's actually quite a hard question to answer because I think there's quite a common misconception at times that, what worked for me today will always work for me. And it doesn't work that way. There are some days where I've slept well, I've eaten well, I haven't had a particularly stressful day. So if there is something that's like challenged me or triggered me, maybe my response to it isn't as big. And I can just kind of take a few breaths. Breathing for me, I find really, really helpful. I can just take some breaths, kind of shake it out a little bit, and I'm okay. But then if I was in that same scenario, but like I'd had a crappy night's sleep and, I had missed lunch and the day, the kids in my class were just wild that day and I was feeling really overwhelmed, maybe that wouldn't work for me. Maybe I would need to do something a bit more physical, because definitely for me, physical like movement is a great way for me to move energy around, to get rid of excess energy. So it might be going for a run, going for a swim, where I can just have like those 5 minutes of just like all out, just get it all out. Um, and other days it might be I need a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more support. So it might be taking some breaths, it might be cuddling up with my cat. Um, so I think it's a kind of a tricky to say one, there's one thing I always go to, but a lot of mine will be around movement in some capacity. Because that for me, that works. It makes me feel really good to move my body.
Okay. And do you like, are you a yogi, or do you prefer more strength training? What's your go-to? What gives you that hit?
Um, This is this has changed so much. Before it was all yoga meditation, wonderful. Then I was like all in and CrossFit, like 100% in. I joined the cult. That was it. My whole language changed, everything. And now I'm at a space after COVID, I think, especially when I had a lot, everybody had a lot more time. And I kind of like got to explore different things. I started running because that was literally the only thing I could do. And I hated it for years. But now I'm at a place where I'm like, I love this. I'm not great at it, but I really enjoy it. And I want to do a triathlon, and I love swimming and I love being in water. So I'm trying to improve that. I think I spread myself a bit thin and I want to do it all. Um, but I've got into Olympic weightlifting, which I never thought I would get into, but I'm really enjoying that process as well. So I've found a nice balance where I do everything a couple times a week. Some days are low intensity, some days are high intensity. And one thing I think, and I think this has happened as I've got older and more comfortable in my body, more confident with well, maybe my mind body connection is stronger now. Like I trust it a lot more. I'm much more confident to say, not today. Today I just want to sit and chill, or today I want to read a book. Whereas before it was like, no, it's Monday. I have to go and do this, and I have to go to CrossFit, and I have to swim because that's what I do on a Monday. And especially I've been working a lot with tracking my cycle, working out within my cycle, things like that. And I'm a lot more aware now of like, what, this is when I need to be gentle. And that's okay because it's still benefiting me.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. I love you bringing into the awareness of your cycle. It really does have an enormous impact. And for the ladies that I'm working with, pregnancy, everything's thrown off. Postpartum, everything's thrown off. And then perimenopause and menopause, everything's thrown off. So if we can have some understanding of what our regular cycle is doing and what our peaks and troughs are and how we feel at each of those points, then it's so much easier to sometimes relate to the sensations you're having at that moment in time. So love the fact you brought that up. Um, what are some common mistakes you see people doing when they're trying to reduce their stress? Some common mistakes in their coping mechanisms.
Um, I think the biggest one, I'm guilty of this too, is that when you're starting something new, you want to create a new healthy habit, you want to start going to the gym more, you want to start eating more healthy food, or you want to improve your sleep or your sleep hygiene. It's an all or nothing process at the beginning, right? I'm gonna get all the clothes, I'm gonna get the gym membership, or I'm gonna throw everything out in my cupboards and I'm gonna fill it full of stuff, like healthy stuff and whatever it is. And I've been guilty of that too. Of being like, right, okay, like if I don't want to be stressed anymore, I need to meditate. That was my big one at the beginning. And I have to meditate for 20 minutes a day, and I have to sit here in this part of my apartment, and I need to sit on this cushion and da 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 da. And there was a lot of restriction around it, which at the time I didn't call it that, right? I called it structure, because there is that fine line between, yes, you need routine and structure when you're starting something new until you kind of find your groove with it, and then you can adapt it to what works for you. And there does need to be a little bit of, I just say rigidity, but there does need to be a little bit of kind of, I can't think of the word, my words have gone. less movement, less flexibility around it at the beginning, because you do need to get into that habit. But then the amount of stress I would feel if I didn't meditate for 20 minutes. Oh, you only meditate for 15 minutes today. That wasn't worth it. It was useless. Like, why did you bother? And it became so all-consuming that I think I was way more stressed trying to implement and integrate this meditation practice into my day than if I'd been more flexible with it. If I'd been more in tune with my body, if I'd been more in tune with all the external factors that influence how I feel in that moment. And I think that's something that it's easy to fall into. Like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. I have to be doing that because that's, so and so said this, or science has said this, and I need to do it for half an hour a day. 1 minute more, 1 minute less isn't going to be good enough. And that puts so much additional stress onto you. And it's like, but this isn't working for me. There are days I'll sit for 5 minutes, if that, and it's hard and it's tough and I don't want to be there, but I know it's beneficial for me. And then there are days when I can sit for like an hour.
Yeah.
And what's more important is the fact that I'm sitting and I still have a routine. And I've taken that, that kind of that lens of like, oh, I'm only successful if I do it this way. It's still having a benefit. The benefit looks different depending on the day.
I love that. And actually, that leads me into my next question, which is if you only had 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and that was it to work on your mental, emotional, and physical well being and to calm that anti March madness, what would it be?
For me, it's gardening. I love it. Like genuinely, that would be if I had 5 minutes and I was feeling a bit, I was in my head or I was just very out of my body. Just being in the garden for me is so grounding. Being barefoot on the mud, pottering around with all my plants. I just find that very soothing, very grounding. I'm very grateful I live in a house where we have a garden where I can do that. Prior to that, I just had plants everywhere. And just spending time with the plants, genuinely, I find that incredibly soothing. Another one for me is a shower. I love water. If I was in a condo with a pool, it would be just go down to the pool for 5 minutes. I don't have that. But just to be in the shower, I like to sit on the floor and just have the water just falling on me. I can find that very, very regulating as well, very soothing.
I love that. And that both of those are such accessible, easy,
Mm.
quick solutions. I love that. I can see that most of the people that we work with would be able to do that as well. Okay, one very last question. Bearing in mind, most of the people that are working with me are sleep deprived and very time poor and on some kind of hormonal roller coaster. Uh, what would you recommend as a really easy, quick entry point self-regulator that they could try that isn't dependent on them having to get changed into special clothes or be in a special environment, something that they can feel that panic rising? What is one tip that you'd have that they could try?
Mm. Um, Grounding practices are really, really powerful and two very accessible ways to practice them. Um, Standing or sitting, right? So wherever you are, you can do it quietly in a room. You can be on the BTS, you can still do it. And if you're standing, it's taking your attention to the soles of your feet and really noticing which parts of your foot, like try and do it barefoot if you can. Obviously, if you're in a public place, maybe it's not accessible, but you can still feel the weight of your foot in your shoe. But noticing exactly where the weight of your foot is on the ground. Are you rocking forward? Are you rocking back? Is it inside or outside of the foot? And if you imagine this is the sole of my foot, under the big toe, under the baby toe, and the heel, it makes like that kind of triangle shape. What you want to try and be aiming for is having your weight as evenly distributed amongst these 3 points as possible, because that's how you're going to help create a firmer base. If you're sitting down, you can do the exact same thing, right, with your feet. You can play around and just move them around. The other good thing with if you're sitting down, you can do the same with your butt. You can just see like, where is my weight? Am I leaning forward? Am I leaning back? Am I like off on one side? Am I dumping into one hip? And if you are trying to get, there aren't 3 points on our butt cheeks, but trying to get like your sit bones as even as you can and just being there. If you are comfortable and able to, and you feel safe to, maybe closing the eyes and just keeping your attention on the soles of your feet or your butt if you're sitting down. And if you're not able to close your eyes or you don't feel comfortable doing that, just kind of losing focus a bit, right? You're just looking in that kind of middle distance in front of you, taking some deep breaths, keeping your attention on the feet, and just feeling how strong you feel, right? When you've got all that, when you're secure on the ground. And that can be a really, really powerful, accessible, quick way to just kind of bring things back down.
I love that. And you could literally do that anywhere.
Mm.
That. Thank you. That's a really powerful practice. I'm sure people find that super useful. Lily, where can people find you? How can we find you? Where are you?
Uh, I'm in Bangkok, but I'm not going to tell you exactly where because I like my garden nice and quiet. No, I'm on Instagram, mindful_sparks. We have our website as well. The website is very geared towards teachers and education. That's the main audience that we have, but everything on there can be um, adjusted to a non-education environment. We have a YouTube page where we've got some guided meditations, lots of videos, little short videos that go on the social media that are there on Instagram, on the YouTube page. So you can they're like 7 videos in a series, and they'll kind of talk you through different concepts of mindfulness, ideas of mindfulness, different activities. So yeah, that'll probably be the best way. Instagram, YouTube, and our website.
Fabulous. I'll put all of the links down in the notes wherever this is going to appear. But Lily, thank you so much. That was incredibly helpful, really useful. And thank you for contributing to our Anti-March Madness Month.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay.